All right, guys, before we dive in, a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Top Flight Gaming, your new go-to virtual card shop. They're a small, independent seller on TCG Player, which means you are directly supporting a passionate, community-driven business. No storefront as of yet, coming soon, just real people who care about the game. Whether you're chasing staples, looking to finish your brew, or just love seeing what's in stock, Top Flight Gaming's got your back. They've got competitive prices, fast shipping, and the kind of personal touch you just don't get from the big names. So, if you want to support small creators while still getting great cards, check them out on TCG Player. I'll drop the link down in the description. Thanks again to Top Flight Gaming for supporting the channel. Now, let's get into it. And with that, welcome to Tourney Timmys, your friendly neighborhood space for cEDH and tourney grinding. We're your hosts.
I'm Kay.
I'm Kearns.
I was muted. I said it like twice. Like, why are we just sitting here?
Amazing.
That's Mark, and I'm River. Today, we're going to be going over what we're about, who we all are, and what our goals for the channel are. And without further ado, let's jump into it.
How you doing? I'm Kay. As for the type of playstyle that I enjoy in cEDH, it's probably a mix of things. I thoroughly enjoy Turbo. I also really enjoy stacks, but lately I've been really jamming control decks. Like my favorite deck as of recent for probably like the past year that I've been working on tweaking and such would be my Shorakai deck. It is the polymorph version. It's not playing the creatures. I know that's a topic between Shorakai pilots. But I just find it's much more consistent when you have your main game plan situated with more cards dedicated to those slots. But originally, what got me into playing cards in general was growing up with my brother. I have an older brother. He's about 5 years older than me. I grew up with him. I did pretty much everything with him. I played sports. I played baseball, basketball, soccer, football, wrestling, and tennis, and he did all of those as well. And the thing that we would do after we were done with homework and we weren't playing video games, we would play cards. My uncle, we always call him Theo, he got my brother into playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And he got me into it. Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't play anymore. Neither does he. But we transitioned over to Magic. Shoot, it was probably around 2010 when we were like really getting into it. I first dove into it probably around Lorwyn. I remember Lorwyn coming out and the Lorwyn 5 being the original 5 Planeswalkers that had come out after I had first started looking at the game. But then when I actually started caring about going into tournaments, getting better, and actually working on decks and playtesting with my brother, started getting into standard, modern, and then later legacy and cEDH. But for me, every time I play cards, it's kind of like a little reminder of when I was a kid playing with my brother. So there's always just a little bit of joy in my heart when I play cards, and it could be with anybody. But it's something that I don't ever see myself putting down.
Hey, I'm Freedom/Kearns. My playstyle is attempting to win first, jamming the win, failing to do so, and having somebody else win the next turn after me. My favorite deck is Kennen, Kenrith, and Animar. And what got me into cEDH is that I started playing Magic back around 2018. My first deck was Doran, Big Butts. And then my friend said, hey, there's a Cockatrice tournament, and here's an Animar list that somebody played, and you should play it. I did. I got out of a tournament of like 64 people. It was a pretty big one at that time. I went 3-2-1, got top 16, and that just felt absolutely fantastic. It was my first time ever playing that deck at that high level. First time ever playing cards like Dockside and like Mana Crypt. First time ever playing that deck. I didn't really know what gold fishing was, and I still just did really, really well. Still have no idea what layers are, but I'll figure that out at some point. But what really gets me into cEDH is just how spicy and crazy it is. It's very political, and there's an ebb and flow to it that's really different from other Magic formats because you're playing against 3 other people, and it's kind of you're playing against yourself a lot less. You're playing against 3 other usually very competent players, and so it's very unique and very fun.
Hey
Okay.
guys, I'm Mark, owner of Top Flight Gaming, along with my business partner who's not with us today. My playstyle kind of varies. I've played Blue Farm for probably 3 years before the bans. Constantly took losses to decks like Kinnan and Malcolm decks that people were just letting do whatever they wanted while I was like, oh, can't let the Blue Farm player draw cards.
Correct.
Whole other topic for a different day. But played Stacks. Elevir's one of my go-to tournament decks right now. I'm also working on a Yoshimaru Silas Esper list that's basically Rogsai with silence effects that like can just kind of sit there in the mid game for a little bit instead of just having to put the gas pedal to the floor. Just to, like Freedom was saying earlier, just putting a win attempt on the stack and passing the turn, watching somebody else do it. Also greatly enjoy sealed in almost any draft format of Magic. Probably done 50 Tarkir drafts since it came out already, both some in person and on Arena. Got into Magic back in 2011 when I was in college. I played a little bit when I was younger, but just the social aspect and the camaraderie from the community and everything really captivated me. And I've never really put it down since then. cEDH in general, I kind of picked up just because me myself, I'm just naturally competitive, and our play group finally started catching up to that. And there was really nowhere else to go except cEDH. And once we kind of realized like most of the formats extremely proxy friendly, we didn't have to shell out hundreds and thousands of dollars to build a new commander deck every month or whatever. It was just really convenient to go about it that way instead.
Hey everybody, I'm River, and my playstyle is literally everything. I'm the greatest to do it, the GOAT of all time. Honestly, it's insane all the things that I revel in. It's wild. No, on a serious and humble, the humblest trust. No, I've my favorite playstyle is control. I've always been a massive control player. I have played everything. I think Stacks is probably my next favorite. I just don't play it because players are dumb. And I also I love Turbo as well, but I don't like generic Turbo decks because I'm a hipster. And why would you play Rogsai when you could play like worse Rogsai? Just seems way more fun and probably more consistent. Oh, Rogsai. The big thing for me, my favorite deck, I think, of all time is Teferi. I played Teferi Temporal Archmage literally when the Chainveil came out. I was already playing the deck. Just as like a deck. I played it since 2014. I've been playing the format basically since its inception. Basically same with cEDH. I started seeing the forums, some of the Reddit stuff that came up, and then I started seeing what's the old deck building website that people used to use?
Tapped out.
Tapped out, yeah, the
The
old
thing is
tapped out
awful,
lists.
Yo, I remember
Um,
using those.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember my friend or my playgroup and I at the time had seen some of the stuff that like Lurker, IMOC, Shaper had posted about the cEDH tier list of commanders, and
The
I
first sliver
remember
baby Baral was like tier 2.
there was
Yeah.
some crazy stuff, and I ended up I just fell in love with the format. I've always loved Commander. cEDH's like it's a format to me that's like so entrenched in how well do you know your opponents? How well do you know your opponent's deck? How well do you know card interactions? How well can you telegraph what's going on? What is your deck prepared to do? What are you prepared to do? How are you prepared to politic? How are your opponents politicking? How to count? Like, there's so much that goes into cEDH that I love. I used to read so much uh, psychology content to like understand people, and like the transition into cEDH when tournaments started becoming bigger was like simple. I love this format. Teferi is the best deck. I'll build it again at some point when I grow cojones. Until then, I just going to be jamming Tasker. I think right now my favorite deck is Tasker. The deck is insane, but
Yeah, part of what I love about cEDH is definitely the challenge of just the format in general, like you were saying, with like so many different things going on. I actually played Boomer Jund back in Modern for years. Had Legacy Jund built before Deathrite Shaman got banned. Like, I'm the person that generally has way more removal in their deck than just about anybody.
Right
Blue
there with you.
Farmless, I was on 2 field wipes before anybody. I was saying like, "Oh, Supreme Verdict's great. I don't know like why I never see it. I'm tired of like having to explain to people why you can't let Kinnan have 6 mana dorks in play." Like, just stuff like that. But yeah, definitely just the challenge of the format really brings it home for me for sure.
Yeah, you're telling me you don't like your Fire Covenant for 15 being countered?
That card is garbage, and you'll never convince me to play it again.
I love the card, but it's just it's when it
It's
gets
great
countered,
in
it feels
theory.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it
it's
got.
like yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I think it got worse with the printing of Enduring Vitality. I think that was the like nail in the coffin. Because like, yeah, you can kill Enduring Vitality and then the dorks, but like every creature I play after that's also a dork. Like, it doesn't matter. Once I chatter Storm for 15, now I have 15 extra mana, and then here's this Kinnan that like I top decked, and now I can do 30 Kinnan flips. And oh, your Fire Covenant's already in the grave. Get cucked. Like,
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some spicy cards that I wish people would be playing more of. Because like people already see like Cyclonic Rift as the be all end all. As like your instant speed interaction, clear the board. But like Final Showdown has existed for a while now with Thunder Junction. That like you can just clear the board at instant speed for 1 less mana, and like it's modal. It can do a couple other things, but um, I actually had a question because I actually don't know the answer for all of you. When did you guys actually start playing cEDH? How long have you been in this format? Because like for me, I kind of dipped my toes in it probably. I would say probably around 2011, 2012 was when I got in.
2020, 2019, yeah, 2020, I think.
Okay, so you're of the much newer side.
Yeah, I started playing around 2018. Like, I played it once in like 2008, but like we were definitely playing Magic wrong. Like, I don't. Yeah, yeah.
I can't
So
say
I'm definitely newer compared to a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
can't
people.
say anything. When I started playing in 2011, I used to think that creatures that had trample, if somebody swung at you and you blocked with them, they took the extra combat damage from that.
you know what? That is how it should work. Change my mind.
Because like I used to think that like the worms that were like just 6/6s with trample were like godsends because I'm like, oh, I don't even have to swing at you. Like you just can't touch me. Totally not how that works, obviously. But
No,
it is what it is.
that would be insane. That's like reverse afflict.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a cool mechanic to see a flick come back but be reversed for if it blocks. Oh, that'd be cool.
It was basically just I thought everything with trample was like almost like a stuffy doll kind of.
Yeah, my brother and I mean, probably more fueled because of me. Like I've always been a stickler for the rules. In like anything, um, like when we were trying to prove to each other who was right, we would like pull up stuff and we're just like, like MTG Salvation. My brother would pull it. It was like this guy said this. I'm like, I don't know this guy. He's not a judge. Like, so, so we would just go into like the comprehensive rules and we would sit there for like 10 to 30 minutes and we're both reading different sections and just like, I think we figured it out finally. This is how it works. Whose turn was it? And then we would have to start the game over, but we would then learn how it worked. Which is probably the biggest part to me becoming a judge. But I didn't mean to cut you guys off, but so I was around 2011, 2012. Kearns, you said you were around like 2019, 2020. What about
Yes.
you, Mark? I know you said you were playing Blue Form for 3 years, so I assume you're on the newer side as well.
Yeah, so I actually before COVID, back in like 2017, I really started to get into like the high power casual slash pretty much pushing the like lower tier of cEDH where like I had 4-color Omnath, Locust of Creation built. It was basically just Tiki Pod. And then I went off of that and went to Elsha of the Infinite, and I owned that deck in paper in its entirety except for a Time Twister and want to say a Volcanic Island. I had my LED, my Intuition, everything. Gilded Drake, I wasn't playing, I don't think. It was in and out of the deck, but I had one. But COVID happened, I had bills to pay, yada yada yada. Sold that. Recently got back into cEDH once I realized like people were actually willing and everything with the proxies and stuff around 2021.
Yeah, that was always a tough thing to happen. I mean, I'm sure River, because you've been in the format for a long time as well, like me. You've seen where cEDH like started and where it's at now. It's a very very different format.
Bro, we were doing some guffish back in the day. We were bleep that. We were doing some awful stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better at cussing.
Yeah,
No,
when people used to play cantrips like religiously, like it was 60 card.
dude, I was one of the first Teferi pilots to like to replace cantrips with just counter spells. Because I remember thinking that like I'm gonna cast 3 cantrips, I'm not gonna get any closer to my win condition, and then like I'm gonna lose the game. So like, what if I just play like miscast or like spell pierce, or what if I play this and try and stop like these things that are happening or these things that I know that are gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
God, I've literally been playing Commander since the inception of the format. We were doing like kind of like Mark was saying for when he got in. I was doing a lot of the pressing the bounds of what like the game was for Commander. My first deck that like I didn't realize was cEDH at the time when I was playing it was Una, Queen of the Fae.
Oh my god, that's a throwback. That's an
Dude,
Isochron Scepter Outlet. Let's go.
Yeah, when Dramatic Reversal got printed, it was a much better deck than when I was playing it.
Yeah. What did they used to play in that deck? Because I remember they used to weren't they playing like it was like gauntlets and stuff to try to make additional mana to try to like manually build people out.
Probably Painter's Servant if I had to guess.
Yo,
Yeah,
Painter
so-
Servant.
No, Painter was
I love
banned
it.
at the time. You got to remember,
Yeah.
Iona and Painter
I
were
didn't-
reversed.
Couldn't remember when Painter got banned.
Yeah,
so we were doing God, it's been so long and I haven't touched Una in years. I remember it had to do with like I needed Phyrexian Altar, Ashnod's Altar, and one other card with Una. And might have, I can't remember exactly what it was. And I could.
It was the two fairies that kept championing each other. I think it was. So you just keep sacking. Maybe it would bring back the other one, and then you just loop those.
There was that. There was a few ways to make mana. Basically, I just needed to make 3 blue mana or 3 black mana. So like, as long as I could make infinite colorless mana, a Dark Ritual won me the game. But it was so convoluted and weird and like whatever. And then I would say 2016 is when I like really started playing like cEDH when I started to understand the format more. That's when like I played Teferi, the Chain Village came out, and I was like, oh, this is insane. And then I started realizing like, oh wait, this deck is like kind of way too good for all the games I'm playing in. Like, and my playgroup eventually got up. It became like a arms race. We did a bunch of things. I had a buddy who played Grenzo.
Oh yeah.
There were so many different decks I played. Oh, dude,
So-
Grenzo's fun.
So
Dude,
my first commander deck ever that I built was Grimgrin the Corpseborn. As soon as it came out, I played Black Red Zombies in Standard. Always wanted to play Grimgrin. He was horrible in the format. I was just like, I cannot play this 5-drop and 60 card. I will make it work in this 100 card deck. Rooftop Storm, Gravecrawler, just absurd. It was way too strong for my play group. The combo in it shouldn't have been there at the tables I was playing in, but I had no idea. I was just like, oh, I'm going to play all these good cards.
Yeah, my transition to cEDH was everybody trying to like ego each other. They're just like everybody just kept coming back every week with like upgrade, 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 and then it's just like those are also the days where people were still using Workhorse to make infinite mana. Like it was.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was a different time. Like cEDH is way different. It was way different back then. Like Sharoom was playable. Like you could use Sharoom to infinitely Mindslaver lock all 3 of your opponents. Like there was help me out, River. It's the Sultai thing. Is it Damia? The one that refills your hand?
Yeah,
Yes,
Age of Stone's one of my favorite commanders of all time. Oh,
dude, you would dump your hand, cast Damia, refill your hand because no one like often understood what interaction was, and you would just do crazy. Like you could just keep running through your deck with essentially because Sultai was like just a good color anyways. But yeah, Damia is so good.
Was the colors to be back then? I mean, not much has changed anymore. I mean, no, it's a Simic shell with add whatever colors you want, but
yeah. Which kind of, I had a question for you guys. Speaking of like good things, with the meta being like Simic Shell X, or how I like to call it, Thrasios X, which is basically the meta. What cards do you guys think should see like more play, like to help against the current meta?
So that's the issue, is that we are still in like Thrasios X / a Rogsai era where we as a meta don't believe that stacks is a thing. So like playing cards like Collector Oof slows things down, but they like to stop the artifact, but there's still then mana dorks for Thrasios to move around. There's still like there's cards like Treasure Nabber, which is like 2 and a red. Whenever an opponent taps an artifact or whatever, you get it. And so so all that does is just have them do things on your turn. Like even if they only play 1 spell a turn, there's now with Valley Floodcaller bouncing stuff, right? And Hullbreaker Horror and all of this stuff, Psych Rift. All you have to do is remove 1.5 stacks piece and you're good. That being said, having that one really convenient stacks piece, like a rule law effect, might able for you to squeeze in the win, but half the time a win con is Cat playing 2 spells. Thrasios Demonic Consultation, for example.
Mhm.
So I think that's the issue, is that there are plenty of staples in the format that can counter Thrasios, but if somebody else is playing like a Winota deck, that's not going to stop them from killing you, right?
So-
Especially if you're the sax player, you generally get killed last, more or less.
So I actually think that you're partially right as far as like stacks effects are really good against this meta right now. The issue that I think there is with that is people need to get more comfortable playing against stacks. I know it's not fun. Nobody's saying take a stacks deck to your casual games. Nobody's talking about that. But there's so many times where I've played a stacks deck, or I know other people here have too, where like your stacks effects are getting blown up or bounced for no real reason other than people are tired of looking at them. They're not doing the thing, untapping and trying to win. They're
You are
just
preaching to the choir.
no, I know. Yeah, it's bad. People are just like, oh, well, this is obnoxious, so I'm gonna get rid of it. But like, you're doing Rogsai's job, or you're doing Thrasios's job, or Kinnan just untaps and goes absolutely nuts with their Basalt Monolith. But sure, you can use your 2 treasure tokens to draw a card. Like, cool. Do you win? No, cool. So I think that would just benefit like the tournament scene as a whole. Aside from that, one of my personal cards that I've seen a lot of recently in this meta is actually Opposition Agent. It is so on the rise right now with Gifts Ungiven recently getting unbanned and everything. Like, it's just so good.
Always has
And
been.
yeah, but like it's always been great, but I've seen it a lot more recently. But
I've seen
one of the
people tutor
tools-
for it.
Yeah, for sure. People tutor for it all the time. I
Yeah,
think one
the
of
wish
the
block
best cards
strat.
in the format that doesn't get played right now is actually Limdol's Vault. It's one of my favorite cards. I played it in Blue Farm well before Dockside was even remotely getting banned. I've played that card religiously. It is a pain to resolve online. If you ever play on Spell Table or Cockatrice, it is miserable to resolve online. In paper, it's really not that bad. And it's just really effective at what it does. It's basically Tainted Pact that you don't lose cards in Exiled when you're digging what you're looking for. It's just 1 life per 5 cards. And for those of you that don't know, depending on how many cards are in your deck, you can actually see different piles of 5 if you have the life total to spare for it. I've had to do it a couple of times in events, and it's actually like been really beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, the cards that I think that absolutely should see more play is that if you are a slower deck that doesn't need to storm to win, then I think Damping Sphere is just where you want to be. Like, you want to slam that down because people are not only playing Cradle, but they're also playing Growing Rights of Itlamok as a second Cradle. So they're on all the Cradle tutors to go get those, and then if they have the other one, it go grabs them another creature and then flips in the end step, and then they can just go off at instant speed. The other thing, honestly, an insanely effective way to deal with Cradle is Curse Totem. Like, everything that you want Cradle for is creature activated abilities. Thrasios, Moral Breeze Caller to win the game. It also turns off Valley Flood Caller lines because the both of the 1 mana instants grants the ability to the creature, so it can't activate. So, and like the Tymna game plan is just bad in general because there's so many creatures now that are so efficient that are now drawing cards and have flash. Like, Archivist of Ogma is like the best 2-drop draw engine right now. It's just insane. The amount of times people will tutor through their deck is crazy in the mid-range meta. People will tutor 3 times and then fetch, and that's just 1 player. That's 4 draws. Like, crap will happen, but like other things that I know people play but I wish people would realize, is that Boseiju can target lands, non-basic lands. The amount of times that I see somebody in a pod, and granted, I'm playing Shorikai, so like, if I'm playing Shorikai, I would love to have a Boseiju because like I am like questioning putting Stripmine or Wasteland in the deck, but I'm not going to. I just think about it all the time. And when I see somebody play it as a land for turn, and I'm and so it's just like it just blows my mind. I'm like, congratulations, whatever deck. Let's just take Rivers deck for example. It's like Tassiger because I do play against a couple of other people that play Tassiger or like Kenrith or something, and they play their land for turn, and then I just turn my head to look at both other Thrasios decks, and I'd be like, what are you doing?
And it just jams a Basalt Monolith, and you're like, well, was it worth it?
Oh, dude,
It's not
this has
even
been
that.
one of my biggest gripes for the longest time. So people usually ask me in some of my lists, like, why is your land count so high? And I'm going to tell you why my land count stays around 20, 28, 29. Otawara and Boseiju aren't lands. Like, as much as people want to pretend they are, and they will keep hands that are like, oh, play this. Like, if you mull low and you have to use it for a land drop, sure, absolutely. Don't fucking sandbag your lands. That's dumb.
Well,
But bleep lap, bleep lap. I'm actually the problem. Crap. I knew this would happen.
I'm the problem. It's me.
But with like Boseiju, specifically Boseiju, Otawara is a little more redeemable. It costs 1 mana to play. 1 mana. Because as long as you are playing like Thrasios, or even I play it in Tassiger, obviously, you should never be in a position in the game where you cannot spend 1 to 2 mana or hold up 1 to 2 mana to utilize the Boseiju. And if you need Boseiju as a land that bad, stop playing it in your deck. Like, just put another land in that spot. Because like, you should just have a 2-colored land if you're a 2-colored deck, if you're never going to hold on to it. Like, I agree with you wholehearted. Like, the amount of times I will not play a third land because I'm okay sitting on 5 mana between 2 lands and like 2-3 rocks or whatever, or dorks or whatever it might be. I'm okay with that because even if all my rocks get blown out, I have 2 lands. I can still use it as interaction. Now, if there's like a turning corner play I have to make where I absolutely need the land drop, sure. But again, you have to read the table and realize it. But I build my decks as if Otawara and Boseiju are not lands. That's why I don't play Otawara in Teferi because, fun fact, for whatever reason, wizards hate me, and channel effects don't get reduced by planeswalkers, which means my Otawara almost always costs 4 mana because I run like 1 legendary creature in my entire deck in Teferi. So
yeah, you'd finally convinced me to take it out of my Shorikai deck. I took that one and I Ganjo out. Despite me playing against a decent chunk of Dimna, like I was just
4
screaming.
mana.
I had them. Go
Yeah,
get
4 mana. You'd rather just play a 1 or 2 mana removal spell at that point.
I mean, yeah,
also
you
know-
can still play like Touch the Spirit Realm at that point. It's like half the mana is Otawara and hits 2 of the 4 things anyway.
I mean, you got to remember I'm in Azorius. I have 1 card that can tutor that. 1. Like,
How many
ain't
cards
no
are you
other way
playing
I
to
fit that
consider
card.
Otawara?
Just play a Delic Tutor, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, no, I'm not doing that unless I'm playing Tameshi. But if I'm playing Azorius, I'm playing Shorikai. That deck makes me too happy.
Oh, just
I
play
do
long-term
wanna-
plans. Come on.
That card's
I've
actually kind
tried
of
that
good in
so
your
many
deck,
times.
not gonna lie.
I have tried that so many times. It's always just so awkward. Like every time I play it, everybody just stares at me because everybody that plays against me when I'm playing Shortguy, they know I'm not playing creatures. I sit down at the table. If they see the wrong colored sleeve, they're just like, "Oh, you're playing Shortguy," and I'm just like, "Okay." And like every time I cast it, they're just like, "Oh, he gets polymorph." And like no matter what I say, because I can get a 1-card win con, everybody just loses their mind, starts feeding each other's wristics, and just like find a counter spell for it. And it's just like I just don't care for the play pattern anymore. I'll just take it out of my deck. It's whatever.
That's fair. I had similar issues with ad nauseam my blue farm deck for a while. Tried to take it out. Everybody still targeted me like I was playing wrong side. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put it back in.
That'll be a topic for another day. I know
Yeah.
River and I have talked at length about Adnaz.
No, I know. I think it's so good
Adnaz.
right now, unless
Yeah,
you're playing
Adnaz is a
Grunt
card.
specifically. Like that card is not good right now in the meta at all.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it used to be a pillar of
I know.
cEDH since cEDH's inception. Like, it was the be all end all card, especially because at the time it was good at modern and it was just a way to win the game. People were doing it in Legacy to do the tendrils combo, and even sometimes in Vintage if you were being extra spicy. But Vintage has seen insane cards printed. We're not going to talk about it. Just understand Luris and done.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
they print a card that's so strong it's about to get banned in Vintage instead of just restricted because it does nothing.
Well, we'll leave that topic for another day. But
Yeah.
Well, speaking of on topic, there are cards that I think genuinely people should be playing, and in blue specifically. A lot of people forget this. Commander Denial was like something people loved. So cards like Lignify, cards like Mystic Subdual. Mystic Subdual was such a hot card when it got like printed at the time that it got printed. However, we have better versions of these now. I play in my Tasker deck, the best deck to ever exist, live, breathe, and die.
Whoa.
Is I very much like three cards for Commander Denial is Oko. A lot of people forget that Oko doesn't just shut something off. In my deck specifically, my commander's a 4/5, and I'll just keep eating 3 damage if I elk your commander. And another thing is, there are a lot of times that I am okay with doing the make a food, and then on my next turn, steal your Kinnan, steal your Thrasios, steal your Enduring Vitality, steal your whatever. I really love Cyber Conversion as a card I have been on in every single blue deck I have played literally since it came out. Keynote, just so all of you know, fun ruling thing because Heliod's a commander and Atali. You cannot Cyber Conversion flip commanders. It doesn't work. It just doesn't, because you can't you can't force the commander to turn over, which means the other part of the card doesn't happen.
Yeah, any transforming cards.
Yeah, so be warned. But Cyber Conversion is great because if people are just going to sit there on their Kinnan activations or on their Thrasios activations, no, it does nothing against Thassa's Oracle. Be a better player, play cards that are good against Thassa's Oracle.
Yeah, play blue.
Play blue. And on that same note, like shutting off somebody's commander is so huge. Taking 2 damage every turn, who cares? I'll eat 2 damage. I don't need you to have access to your Thrasios to get free cards off of your Gaia's Cradle that's tapping for 20 mana. I don't need you to get 13 flips off of Kinnan. It's just a really good card. And then the last one, well, kind of 2 that go in hand. Amphibian Downpour, people are kind of already playing it. It's a really good card, so stay on it. And then I love Tishana's Tidebinder right now. The fact that it negates the ability and instantly makes it to where you can't activate abilities of that thing. Is there a One Ring that's super oppressive that you're worried about a Seedborn Muse going around the table with One Ring? You shut it off. Are you worried about Thrasios activations and not being able to catch up to them? Shuts it off. Kinnan shuts it off. There are so many things that it hits that are really good. Devoted Druid, which is really nice. The only issue is if it ever becomes an artifact, like it'll always be too late to interact at that point. So you're lost no matter what. At that point, play Trick Bind if you're running into that issue. But yeah, it's
Removal.
honestly, which still removal as well. But yeah, you being able to deny commanders flat out and the accrual that's happening in the format, because that's basically what's going on, is everybody's just how much advantage can I accrue? And right now, the best way to do that, and people have started learning, well, hey, if I just hold up mana and then have something this is why I'm on Tasigur right now, that I can sink my mana into at somebody's end step to get a small form of advantage to then play on my turn or sit on, discard cards I don't care about at my end step if I have too many cards in hand, still holding up mana and passing. Like, that play pattern is so relevant at the moment that if you can do anything to stop that, you just should. Like, which is why I think blue farm decks in specifically, and I've seen a few of them doing this. I think Curse Totem should just see play in decks that don't care about creature activations. There's like almost no downside. You shut off one creature in your entire deck, and that's a creature that silences somebody, but at that point you don't care. It's a 3/3 beater. Like, and if they ever remove the Curse Totem, you instantly sacrifice the thing so they can't do anything to stop you from interacting with them.
Spell before you just sack the Ranger Captain, yeah. Kind of along that same line, I think that the Clarion Conqueror that came out, first of all, they should have left the name Deafening Dragon, but
Yeah, they should have.
That card's insanely good right now if you can make it work in your deck. It shuts off artifacts, creatures, and planeswalker abilities. I've seen a lot of Tevish recently. Nobody ever wants to swing at it because everybody wants their Temna or Malcolm triggers. Clarion Conqueror's been a godsend in Elevere when I was playing that deck still. Also, Spell Snare is insanely strong in this format. People have not been on it nearly enough. I know me and Kay have talked about it. I believe River's been a part of those conversations as well, but like, you're countering Thoracle, Tainted Pact, Bowmasters, Underworld Breach, and that's just like the big four off the top of my head. There's so many.
Counters Kinnan. It's so hilarious.
Who cares about countering Kinnan? They just use dorks to play it again. But yeah, like, I have a big thing. If I don't absolutely have to, I don't want to counter people's commanders. That's why I don't play Wash Away or cards like that. Unless it's like a 5 or 6 drop commander that like really taxes them, just because it's so like I don't
Atraxa.
like. Yeah, I don't like using resources for something that they just get to do again later, where I have to like use another card. It almost feels like 2-for-1ing myself at that point.
Well, you also don't play control, so that's why you don't like it.
Well, I'll do it if I have to, right? Like,
yeah, I'm just saying control deck
combo is on board, and my only option is, hey, play this counter spell to keep Malcolm off the board. Sure.
Yeah.
Another card that's like really, really good right now. It can go in literally every single deck. Disruptor Flute. Holy cow, that card is amazing. I've played it and named people's commanders because making it cost 3 more on the turn that they were planning on casting it and either trying to win or untap with their commander and win. Looking at you, Ty-M, because holy cow, that deck is hard to interact with. It can just buy you enough time or just shut them off entirely. It's like, especially if their commander has an activated ability, because like, it's kind of the exception to the rule of like, I don't like using things to stop commanders, but if it has an activated ability, it stops it twice. They have to spend 3 extra mana for all their free spells, like Fierce Guardianship, Deadly Rollick, Deflecting Swat, what have you. And then they still have to like find a way to actually get rid of it to do the thing that their commander is made to do.
I agree. I've been playing that in my my stack. I put it in. I tested it before, but that was before we were at mid-range meta. And I was like, card's okay. I put it back in after the mid-range meta. I'm like, I don't have enough of them. I wish I could copy it. Like,
Play blue. Copy artifact, baby.
Dude, oh my god.
So then if you feel like that, how do you feel about like cards like Wandering Archaic then?
I'm such a big Wandering Archaic fan.
Yeah.
I think Wandering Archaic is such an overlooked card. If Wandering Archaic was 4 mana, every deck would play it. Yes. The fact that it's 5 mana is such a big swing. Like,
but it's colorless though. That's the thing. That's what I try to tell people. Doesn't matter. You can put it in any deck, and I'm telling you, it wins you. It doesn't win you games, but people play around it because they don't want to give you anything.
Yeah, I think the big downside to Wandering Archaic, at least from what I've heard from other tourney grinders, is like it's really good in Kennen. Kennen, I would love to play it in Tasigur. It's not a pod target, so it's kind of hard to justify tapping out for 5 mana in a deck where I'm wanting to hold up, 5 or 6 mana, to do multiple things, counter a spell, have Fierce Guardianship or Mindbreak Trap, and reactivate Tasigur 1 or 2 times. The thing with Wandering Archaic is 5 mana is a lot. And it's a lot for decks that don't do enough mana accrual. So in the decks that it would be really good in, like Wandering Archaic, again, if it was 4 mana, it would be an all-star. I think Blue Farm would be unbeatable. I don't think there'd be a deck that could ever touch Blue Farm if Wandering Archaic was 4 mana. Same with like a deck like Rogside. If it was 3 mana, right? But the fact that it's 5 mana puts you in a position where like, do I value play this Kinnan? Do I value play this Wandering Archaic in a situation where my opponents are going to untap with more mana, and I have to hope that not only do they not have the mana to pay additional for their thing, but that their win con isn't specifically Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation. Because if they let you copy the Demonic Consultation, you have to name interaction. And when you name interaction, you run into the sore spot of like the Demonic Consultation issue of, yeah, I'll resolve this Demonic Consultation. I guess I'll name Force of Will. Well, there's half my deck. And now I probably can't win the game or do anything. And I'm put in a position where even if I use the interaction that I saw, like what else am I really doing? And like no one's going to go for the Tainted Pact line, obviously. Tutors, they have to pay 4/4, which is great, unless it's a turbo deck that's like, yeah, sure, you can go get interaction. But that means every card you're getting out of your deck is just interaction with the tutors that I'm going for, unless you're going for an instant speed win. But I do think, I think I should play Wandering Archaic in my deck because my deck is a mana accrual deck. So I should be able to have the mana and hold up mana because it does work as interaction. Your opponents can't just go like win condition, another opponent goes, cool, counter spell. Well, now you have 2 counter spells you have to fight through. It has like such a high upside, but the downside is like it doesn't always make it back to my turn. And if the answer isn't always yes, it becomes really hard to justify it.
Yeah, I think that it's really good in the decks you mentioned, like Kinnan, Thrasios piles. It could really be good in Tasigur if you like really built around it a little bit more, maybe. Those big mana decks, but at the same time, you're really just making it more likely that the big mana decks are just gonna not care about it because they have the mana to pay for it. Like the same decks that want to play it play really well against it, which are like already taking over the meta, which is why I don't really think it's that great right now. I think it actually was insanely strong in the turbo meta where like everybody's trying to do everything as fast as possible, but the more like everybody just arms races and stockpiles treasure tokens or just making all their land drops for the last 10 turns or what have you, like it's just that much more likely you're spending 5 mana to ultimately not really do anything because they just have the resources at that point already.
I just barely play green, so I just 5 mana is a lot.
Yeah. I played it in Ludovic Necro Genius, not the partner, the crappy partner. Get that out of here.
Not Baby Chrome.
Yeah, not Baby Crumb. I played it in Ludovic Necro Genius, but it's also like a dedicated reanimation list. So turning spending 5 mana to turn my commander into a Wandering Archaic isn't the end of the world. Or just 1 or 2 mana, bringing it back. My favorite was always like binning it off of like a frantic search, and then flashing in the I forget the name, the 3-drop reanimation enchantment. Yeah, that was always really good. I think if decks get smart and start to lean into the colors that I think are really good against green blue, which is black, red, blue, or black blue, where you have access to Toxtrol and reanimation stuff. I think reanimation strategies would be really good right now because having Wandering Archaic, like I was explaining earlier, on a lesser mana cost, where you're spending 1, 2 to 3 mana max on a 5 mana card, still holding up mana. Oh, dude, I think Wandering Archaic's amazing in those situations. Just players haven't caught on yet.
It's funny that you said that because I don't know when the last time you looked at my Rafine list is, but I have heavily switched the list. Remember, it used to have like a small reanimation package in there. It had like OG Elishnorn. It had like Heliod and Ballista in there with Agatha Soul Cauldron, like so it tried to like cheeky win con you on the side with Doomstay. Well, now I have thrown in the reanimation stuff. I'm on Toxrill. I also threw in what is it, the Demon of Ifrin or Ifnid, whatever the hell it is.
Ifnir, it's the one where you discard or cycle. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just conniving, so I just go, okay, everything gets neg 4, cool. And then I forget what the other thing I have in there is, but yeah, I'm on top scroll. Like it's all of a sudden I made that one little change in there, and I played like a few more bodies to play to the board more because it's more mid range, so I don't have to try to jam Rafine on turn 2 with like a 1-drop that's getting me value. Like now I just sit there and I just go, okay, attack with Rafine, and they're just like, yeah, okay, I'll connive once. Oops, talks real, reanimate.
It's so funny you say that because you played against me so many fucking times now. Bleep it! You've played against me so many times now where like I've been preaching Toxtrol for a long time, where I've been explaining to players like Mark, Kern, everyone here can attest. If I land Toxtrol, that game's probably mine. I'm most likely winning that game.
Well, yeah. Well, also like 90% of the time you hit it on the board, I immediately threw swords at it. Like because I'm the one getting affected the most.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like, that's what happens when you're trying to play Najila and it just murders all your warrior tokens.
for the viewers at home, I am a Mardu player at heart. Don't call me a Boros player. They can get out. I will do every color combination of Mardu except Boros. It's dog. It's booty. But like I'm playing all the Delny stuff. I'm playing all of the Timna things that I can. I'm playing all of the flying value stuff, whether that be like Malcolm stuff. So there's like I play very tiny bodies that like is like mid range and aggro at the same time. It's either that or I'm doing turbo with tiny creatures. And so like they're like my tiny creatures, like even like weird cards like they're an Epicure are like combo pieces. It's like this one little it's a 1 mana creature, ETB, deal 1 damage each opponent, but then I just infinitely let it hit the board and I win the game. So like this Tox roll, when it lands, I just look at my board and I look at my hand and I'm like, okay, GG. Like, I just lose. So it's just like it's so awful.
Dude, it's go ahead.
Toxtrol's really good right now because I feel every month it's getting a little bit more creature heavy meta. I don't know if you guys feel like that as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Toxic, the cards like, and it's getting so focused is that the board wipes are leaving. Is that so I played a game recently and somebody played an overloaded dam and I'm like, I forgot this was a card.
Oh,
because I
did that the other day.
Seen it. It's like a year, and I'm like, that card's so good right now for your deck. Gosh,
any
like
wipe that you can use Spellseeker to go tutor if you're an Esper, yes, please.
Yeah.
Well, I have gripes with Spellseeker. I have, unless I'm playing
Krakashima. Spellseeker have beef too, but damn is a hell of a drug if you're.
If I'm playing Krakashima, no, like I have told people like it's so funny that when I play Krakashima, if I play a Spellseeker, you have to treat it like a Nala, and they don't understand why. And I'm like, okay, Spellseeker, go grab snap, bounce it, bounce other things, untap my lands, make like a crap ton of mana, play it again. It's just like I just go get my deck at that point. 1 card win con and is it.
I have a bad habit of if Spellseeker's already in the deck, especially in Jeskai colors, if Spellseeker's in the deck, I immediately just want to play Ephemerate and turn it into a 1-card win con because you can just go through that entire loop. But like,
the
more interaction that people play, the worse it is. So I just try to stay away from it because I know it's not great, but like, man, it's nice when it works.
Funny enough, people are actually playing less interaction now, but more draw engines. So they're getting more triggers off of the things you're casting, so they're more likely to still draw their stuff. So like,
Yeah,
it's
well, that just turns into a whole other mess of people not being responsible and paying their freaking taxes on time.
Well, and
tell me about it.
also, like, I think I had said this. What was it last year? Where I told everyone like Mindbreak Trap is going to be like far and above one of the best counter spells you could play in your deck. And or no, I think it was just 2 years ago I talked about this. And everyone was like, no, Mindbreak Trap sucks. It's just Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation, and then like our Witherbloom Apprentice, Chain of Smog, and like what do you do with then? And it's like, well, I run other interaction. Like I'm not stupid. Like but Mindbreak Trap, the thing I hate about Spellseeker is like there are too many cards, in my opinion, that just turn on Mindbreak Trap. It's actually why y'all can be haters. I'm correct, you're wrong. I dislike the Scholar of the Lost Trove, Hoarding Broodlord line Tassiger. I think it is the single worst line you could ever Neoform into. You have to cast Neoform, sacrificing your Tasker, which shuts you off of Fierce Guardianship automatically. So you can't use Fierce Guardianship as interaction in this slot, so you're down one piece of interaction technically. Scholar of the Lost Trove, ETB exiles your Neoform. You then Neoform again. That's spell 2 to go grab your Hoarding Broodlord. Hoarding Broodlord, ETB, exile, Saw in half, which you still have to have mana for. Now, or sacrifice, depending on what you're doing. Now, whatever spell you cast past that point, Mindbreak Trap is just good. Which is why I think Hoarding Broodlord has seen a significant downtick in play in a lot of decks, because why would I play Hoarding Broodlord, which is so fragile, because Hoarding Broodlord itself is usually the enabler for a sacrifice if you need the extra mana, or is an enabler for convoking for something like your obviously the sacrifice or the Saw in half technically costs 1 less mana. So if it gets removed and you only have 2 mana and you went and grabbed Saw in half, because in response to the ETB, if that's what you were wanting to do, it's just gone. And now you have 2 mana. And now you can go grab something to try and win. But if your Saw in half was the line, well, now it's just an exile. And the thing that Saw in half is only good with is now bad. And you go grab a Demonic Tutor, I guess, and cast Demonic Tutor and try and do something the next turn. But now you've probably fed off of this entire line you've done 2 players, 4 or 5 cards, and good luck on tapping. Mindbreak Trap, I think, has made so many strategies just bad.
And I think that's one of the issues coming up, is that the more spells you play, because we're in a Rhystic Study meta, the more spells you play for your win con, the worse it is. Because even if you have Hullbreaker in hand, if you start doing the math of okay, I can now win, but I first have to get rid of the stacks piece in play and the Rhystic, and then I can then attempt to go off, per se, because you don't want to feed the Rhystic, you don't want to get infinite mana, because then there's a Mindbreak Trap. Oh, there goes your Soul Ring that's now exiled. Then you have to attempt to dig through, and so that's the issue, because it exiles the spell.
Yep.
I've definitely held in Mindbreak Trap to oh, they're going for the win. That's fine. I'm not countering the Underworld Breach. I'm going to wait for they cast their Brain Freeze to then Mindbreak Trap that, because then they can't win. I'm exiling everything. All the spells. Let them Underworld Breach. They have 3 cards in the bin. I know they have Brain Freeze in hand. Let them cast that, then
Yeah, it definitely depends. If they have 10 or more cards in the graveyard and a decent chunk of mana, you can't let the Underworld Breach resolve. But
Correct.
if they're 6, 7 cards, yeah, you can probably get away with that. Especially if they have any amount of interaction in their graveyard, you really have to watch out for it with that. But
yes,
it is possible. Yes.
Underworld Breach, 3 cards in graveyard, we're good.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I've done similar things where they played the LED and I force them negationed it, and somebody was like, "You didn't do that to their Underworld Breach? Why? They have 5 cards in their yard and 12 cards in hand. They have a counterspell or they don't. And if they did, it didn't matter."
Yeah, I will say this whole thing. I don't know because I don't know about you guys and your local metas. I know two of you are closer together, but like I've been seeing a jump and decline in Mirror Maid specifically
Mm.
for copying heuristic studies.
Yeah.
But in my area, they're back on the incline. They're all playing it again, and let me tell you, it is frustrating looking into this meta where like the thing you want to be doing, which funny enough is also in the Simic colors. Like their line right now with the Boro Breeze Caller does not care. It's
Yep.
like you just play one card, you have two lands, and now you're going off by using a creature activated ability and a land ability from hand, and then a mana ability. Like
All of
you
which
could do
you
that.
can't really respond to because they have enough mana to rebounce the land again and put it back into play. And as long as they have a surplus of mana, let's say they can make 12 mana, they're gonna do it like a bunch of times. Like there's so many activations they get, which is why it's so good. And you're right. No more spells get cast. I'm going to dig through my whole deck, have all of my mana in my hand, and what do? You can't. Nothing.
It's one
Yeah,
of the
like
reasons why I love Trickbind right now, because it's one of the very few ways that you can actually stop that combo that's also good against other things. Because you can just Trickbind the Breeze Caller, and then they can't keep doing the thing to make more mana. And then you can just like kill the Breeze Caller, or hopefully somebody else has a way to remove it to where like they can't just make all their mana in response.
well, if they're playing a Boro Breeze Caller before they're trying to combo off with it, then that just tells me that they aren't very experienced with the line. Because
Right.
like when you're playing at a higher skill level table, that card's not getting played unless you're winning the game.
Right.
That's just happening.
No, I agree with you. I was just saying, like, they play Breeze Caller, they go to do the thing, they pass priority, trick bind it, they can't respond to it with anything. So now they just can't do it anymore. And then you just, like, either have removal or hope somebody else does so that you guys can actually, like, untap.
I think the big issue though is one of my biggest complaints with players in this format is like you have to be the one to have trick bind and removal because I can guarantee you your opponents run like 3 pieces of spot removal at best, and they don't
Yeah.
even technically count Psych Rift because they're always
Yeah.
trying to wait for 7 mana.
It's fair. I
So
guess,
it's either
like,
the Blood Boss, Cyclonic Rift, and Swords.
Yeah,
Maybe
that,
Visage if they're in green.
Assassin's Trophy's seen an uptick, but
yeah, I guess
Well, yeah,
I'm just
because
a little
people realize they
spoiled
need to blow a
because, like,
cradle.
I guess I'm just a little spoiled because, like, the server we all play on, like, most of us are pretty responsible with, like, trying to play a decent amount of interaction or bounce
Have you not
spells.
played against me?
yeah, Kearns
What do
does
you
not
mean?
play interaction. Kearns just
No.
tries to win the game. I don't know if you looked at any of his lists.
Me and Kearns are on, like, almost complete opposite availability for games.
Yeah, he's another
Like,
king.
every single time I'm online, he's like, "Oh, I'm at work. I'm at work." I'm like, "Do you have a life, brother? Like, you are always at work." But like, then I see him on early in the morning. I'm like, "Bro, I'm still snoring. You got me messed up. I'm not getting out of bed."
Yeah, like I will say because it's like I had a thought the other day, and it was an insane thing I had to do where there was 4 heuristic studies in play. There was 2 of them were mirror mated and 2 of them were actual heuristic studies. So what I had to do to win in Shortkai, because I had to go off with Isochron Scepter, is I had to copy my mana vault so I could make enough mana to pay for everything to still then make infinite colorless and then start turning that into Shortkai and then find a rock and then pay for the rock and then hope it did get mind break trapped. But then again, I have the mana to cast the rest. But
I
it's
feel
just
like
like
Mirror Maid because it copies an artifact or enchantment. But how do you feel about Steel Enchantment? It's just for 2 blue, 1 less than Mirror Maid. And you can steal a
I
Mystic
think it's
Study.
okay. I think if you are in the correct colors, I think you have more than enough options at your disposal where you are not worried about your opponent having it first.
My thing
What's your
with
opinion,
that-
River?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Steel Enchantment and Mirror Maid are only good because the opponents are bad. Um, and I say that sparingly. Um, I have seen. I will sandbag my Ristic study early now, because the play pattern is if I have a turn 2 Ristic study, if I don't play it, chances are if somebody's sitting on Steel Enchantment or Mirror Maid, they're not playing the game because they kept their hand hoping somebody played Ristic study. And I'll just play Dorks and play mana and do whatever. And then by the time I'm playing my Ristic study, cool. By the time you also have a Ristic study, I don't care because I've already advanced my board state in a way that you couldn't do because I didn't give you access to the card. And people don't play Force of Vigor anymore. It's a card that I need to get back onto. And that or Haywire Might. People just don't play them
Dude,
anymore.
I love Haywire Might.
Haywire
So
Might's
good.
so good. It's one of it's one of the only cards that can genuinely get rid of the
One Ring, yeah.
like it. Bro, you blow someone out of the water by exiling their Ristic study or their One Ring because if you have an early Ristic, and you guys can attest to this. Anybody listening could attest to this as well. If you have like an early Ristic study or an early One Ring, the amount of mana that's required and set up to do both of those things as early in the game as you can, you don't have that many follow-up plays. You're really banking on the Ristic study sticking, and you're really banking on the One Ring sticking. If either of those get removed early into the game, like how do you feel genuinely? Like they get removed in an early setup. Let's say you mold a 6 and you had a Ristic study.
Yeah. It sucks. I had a turn 1 Smothering Tithe in seat 2, and I'm like, oh, this is great. No problem. Seat 1, turn 2, Steel Enchantment. They got Smothering Tithes. My game plan, gone. My game plan, over. I'm not winning that game. I was nowhere close.
My thing with Steel Enchantment is it's either like insanely good like that, or it just does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like
I see a lot of games where like the best thing it's doing is getting exiled to a force because like there's just nobody drew theirs or they just chose to not play it.
Yeah.
One thing that like sorry, go ahead. Okay.
No, go ahead. I thought the couple pauses were you finishing, but go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm just like camera shy, so I like try to chill out a little bit.
Where you should shoot on camera.
Gotcha. Well, I was gonna say I'm a bit biased towards the opposite end, where because like I have more or less put all my decks aside that don't have card draw in the command zone unless they do something very busted, like Najila. You countered my Ristic study, but I've already played my Najila. Like if I have the option between a turn 1 Najila or turn 1 Ristic study, I'm playing Najila. I just don't care.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's just like, cool, my Ristic study's gone. You're on a 6-turn clock.
Yeah.
No, kind of on the topic of Steel Enchantment, I think that it is, generally speaking, more correct to play your Mystic Remoras on, like, turn 4 or 5 instead of jamming it on turn 1.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, I like it on turn 3
Because
right
I
now.
am
turn
sick
3
and
and later.
tired
Yeah.
of, like, you really think I'm just going to play this fish on turn 1? You guys are going to, like, play Dorks anyway because Kinnan, Thrasios, meta, hello, we would like a word with you. And it's just like, so I'm just taxing myself to not draw any cards or draw a card for 6 mana over 3 turns and be tapped out and not advancing my board. Or I can spend those same turns doing the same things everybody else is doing, playing my Soul Rings, playing my Dorks, play my Commander so my free spells are relevant, what have you. And then I have all of this resources that I've accrued, and now I have this fish that you're just going to have to stare at for the next 5 turns because it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then people don't have a choice but to feed it, and nobody does it, and I don't understand why.
I have a question for everybody. What's the longest you've seen in a cEDH game for somebody to keep their fish?
The
I
whole
might
game.
have the record on this one.
I was in a top 16. Person was in seat 4. This is a 200-person tournament. Like, I was going to get like $1,000 if I won this game. This person kept their fish for 8 turns because we just went to tie. Because all he did was land fish, pay for fish, land. And we're just feeding it because that's all he was doing. And he was just countering things like perfectly. Because he's like, I think I'm just not going to win, so I'm just going to hold up all the counter spells that you keep on giving me. and just countering all the wins, and we just went like,
Yeah.
okay, let's try again.
I've had it from I've had it for the entire game, but that's specifically because like one of my turbo lists, which I have given to Mark, is my Bjorna Warnog list, which is Blue's Clues. I call it Cry Farm because it's Baby Blue Farm. But I played Alurus as the companion, so I get to a point where just like this Mr. Gamora is sitting here. I'm like, yeah, I just don't want to pay 4 mana for it. Play Lurrus and then play it from the graveyard. And then you just sit there with it. And everybody looks at you. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to. You can counter it if you want. I'm going to do it on the following turn, but it's going to be here every turn unless there's a Graftaker's Cage.
I did something very similar, which is why I said I might have the record for this one, because I was playing not Timna, sorry. I was playing Thrasios Rograk, but I played Displacer Kitten, and I had a Mystic Remora, and that Mystic Remora never had a counter on it. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
I controlled the game for at least 6 turns, and I paid a grand total of 2 mana for that Mystic Remora over 6 turns. And it only stopped there because I finally drew an out to win the game.
Yeah, to be fair, but going back to the copy enchantment thing, like I think you have to be in a very specific deck to want that type of card. Like, like for example, like if you're an Izzet, which I think Izzet's an okay place to be to play copy enchantment. There's a couple other color combinations where I think it's fine, but like a card that you will never hear anybody else talk up as much as me is Trouble in Pairs. If I'm in white, I will play that before copy enchantment any day of the week. That card puts in work for me every time I play it, and it is the bee's knees. It is the best thing ever. And no, I don't know why when I talk to other people about it, they're just like, "Oh, the card's so mid." And I'm like, "What do you mean? It wins me the game. Somebody else plays a Resistance Study, I play my Trouble in Pairs. I win the game."
Not
Like,
even a game changer anymore, dog. Wizards
True,
is
it's not a game changer, it's not even good, dude.
bad.
It is a game
Yeah.
changer. Oh,
I
gosh.
will say that like, yeah, it's Trouble in Paris sucks. But anyways, a big thing. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who is listening to us and the ethos. We very much appreciate it. I think our goals moving forward with the channel are very much we want to entrench the audience in as much cEDH knowledge that we've gathered and that we'll have other people gathered. We plan to have guests. We plan to dive deeper into topics that you generally don't see people talk about as much. Obviously, you heard it here. We all love to ramble. None of us shut up, especially me, who can't stop cussing. And we really just want to have fun with it. So leave a like, comment, video. We want to know what you guys want from us, what you think we could do better, aside from our cameras. Yeah, what topics you want. Like, we want to do what you guys want from us, and we'll be doing a ton more content. We expect to output more stuff. So thank you to you guys first and foremost, and we're going to wrap it up here. We very much appreciate you guys, but we will see you next week when we have a topic that we have all decided on. So thank you so much, and from the Tourney Timmys, peace out.
Peace.
see ya.